Hi, my name is Hannah Williams, and my subject is on family evolutions and becoming a grandparent. For many parents, a major transition that typically occurs during middle adulthood is the departure of children who may be either going to college, getting married, joining the military, or taking a job far from home. Even people who become parents at relatively late ages are likely to experience this transition at some point during middle adulthood, since the period spans nearly a quarter century. The empty nest syndrome refers to instances in which parents experience unhappiness, worry, loneliness, and depression from their children's departure from home. Many parents report that major adjustments are required. While coping with the feelings of loss can be difficult, parents can also find that some aspects of the era of middle adulthood are quite positive. Even mothers who have not worked outside the home find that after the children leave, they have time for other outlets for their physical and psychological energies, such as community or recreational activities. They may feel that they now have the opportunity to get a job or to go back to school. Consequently, although some feelings of loss over the departure of children are common for most people, there is little, if any, evidence to suggest that departure of children produces anything more than temporary feelings of sadness and distress. In fact, there are some discernible benefits when children leave home. Married spouses have more time for one another. Married or unmarried people can throw themselves into their own work without having to worry about helping kids with homework, carpools, and the like. Some families nowadays use social networking sites such as Facebook to keep in touch. However, a recent survey by Inside Insurance showed that 72% of young people aged between 18 and 25 deliberately choose not to be friends with their parents on Facebook. But who can blame them? Their parents are most likely not a friend, they're a parent. And they're probably better off not being able to view their child's party photos in some cases. The survey also showed that families nowadays contact each other principally by texting. Another popular way of keeping in touch was email, which was 36%, and 13% are using Skype with a webcam, and doubtless this percentage will rise in the next few years. Boomerang children, these returning offspring, typically cite economic issues as the main reason for coming back home. Because of a difficult economy, many young adults cannot find jobs after college, or the positions they do find pay so little that they have difficulty making ends meet. Others return home after the breakup of marriage. More than half of all 18 to 24-year-olds live with their parents, and overall, about 14% of young adults live with their parents in the United States. In some European countries, the proportion is even higher. Parents' reactions to the return of their children vary largely according to the reasons for it. If their children are unemployed, their return to the previously empty nest may be a major irritant. Fathers in particular may not grasp the realities of a difficult job market that college graduates may encounter, and may be decidedly unsympathetic to their children's return. Moreover, there may be some subtle parent-child rivalry for the attention of the spouse. This return can create an awkward homecoming. Having become accustomed to living separately without exposure to each other's daily presence and influence, moving back together is an adjustment because both parent and adolescents must give up some freedom in the process. Both usually agree that since the young person has been functioning independently and is older, their relationship should now be more grown up. But here is where the return home can start to get abrasive. These are some of the things that adolescents, for example, may think. I am now too grown up to report my comings and goings to my parents. However, parents want to know how late he or she will be home at night, so they don't have to worry. These are some ways parents may think. For example, our adolescent is now sufficiently grown up to live in the neat and orderly way we like. However, the adolescent wants home to be relaxed enough not to have to worry about picking up and putting back after himself all the time. The term sandwich generation has come to be applied to these middle adults who feel squeezed between the needs of both their children and aging parents. First, both men and women are marrying later and having children at an older age. At the same time, people are living longer. Consequently, the likelihood is growing that those in middle adulthood will simultaneously have children who still require a significant amount of nurturing, and parents who are still alive and in need of care. The care of aging parents can be psychologically tricky. For one thing, there is a significant degree of role reversal, with children taking on parental role and parents in a more dependent position. People in middle adulthood provide a range of care for their parents. Multi-generational families present a tricky situation as parental and children's roles are renegotiated. Typically, the adult children in the middle generation, who, after all, are no longer children, are in charge of the household. Both they and their parents must adjust to the changing relationships and find some common ground in making decisions. Despite the burden of being sandwiched in the middle of two generations, which can stretch the caregiving child's resources, there are also significant rewards. The psychological attachment between middle-aged children and their elderly parents can continue to grow. Both partners in the relationship can see each other more realistically. They can become closer, more accepting of each other's weaknesses, and more appreciative of each other's strengths. Middle adulthood often brings one of the unmistakable symbols of aging, becoming a grandparent. For some people, becoming a grandparent has been eagerly awaited. They may miss the energy and excitement and even demands of young children, and they may see grandparenthood as the next stage in the natural progression of life. Others are less pleased with the prospect of grandparenthood, seeing it as a clear signpost of aging. Grandparenting tends to fall in different styles. Involved grandparents are actively engaged in grandparenting and have influence over their grandchildren's lives. They hold clear expectations about the way their grandchildren should behave. In contrast, companionate grandparents are more relaxed. Rather than taking responsibility of their grandchildren, they act as supporters and buddies to them. Grandparents who visit and call frequently and perhaps occasionally take their grandchildren on vacations or invite them to visit without their parents are practicing this style of grandparenting. Finally, the most aloof type of grandparents are remote. Remote grandparents are detached and distant, and they show little interest in their grandchildren. Remote grandparents, for example, would rarely make visits to see their grandchildren and might complain about their childish behavior when they see them.